shiver in the dark, it's raining in the park, but meantime sound of the river, you stop and you hold everything. A band is blowing Dixie, double fall time. You feel alright when you hear the music ring. And now you step inside, but you don't see too many faces. Coming in out of the rain, they hear the jazz go down. Competition in other places, but the horns, they blowing that sound. Way on down south, way on down south, London town. Check out Guitar George, he knows all the chords.
Hello, hello. If we can start coming inside. Everybody, if we can start coming inside. We're going to start in 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
And Harry doesn't mind if he doesn't make the scene. He's got a daytime job, he's doing alright. He can play the honky-tonk like anything, saving it up Friday Friday night with the Sultans, with the Sultans of swing. And a crowd of young boys, they're fooling around in the corner, drunk and dressed in their best brown baggies in their platform soles. They don't give a damn about any trumpet playing band. It ain't what they call rock and roll. And the Sultans, yeah, the Sultans that play Creole.
Afternoon. For those who don't know me, my name is Tristan. I'm Neville's son. Thank you all for joining us today on this day, celebration of Nev's life. Tears of memories are welcome here. I'll begin with a passage from Psalm 23, the Psalm of David. The Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He refreshes my soul. He guides me along the right paths for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil. For you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely your goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. So we'll start with my wife will be on a video monitor here just to share some experiences, followed by my mom and Margie, Neville's amazing sister. My son and my wife couldn't be here, unfortunately. He is captain of his rugby squad, and he ran for KZN at the Nationals yesterday. So he had school sports, which I know Neville would want him to do. But we'll have another service in KZN for the KZN family, and that'll be online as well, if you want to follow. Do you want to come up, Mom? Okay.
Hello, family and friends. My name is Janet, Neville's wife, for those I have not met. I shall keep this short in order to allow others to also share their memories, etc. I knew that Nev had many friends, but I did not know that he had so many good friends, which is an indication of what an incredible man he was. There are so many unanswered questions, and I would like to share with you how and why Nev passed away so suddenly. 15 February, he had excruciating stomach pain in the early hours of the morning and asked me to take him to hospital. 17 February, he had a hernia operation, which was successful, but a rare, aggressive, and uncurable cancer was found, 16 March. My beloved Nev passed away peacefully, without pain, in his sleep at home. Tristan closed his eyes. I wish to thank our son Tristan, whom Nev lovingly called my boy, for being my strength and fortress throughout this time. I could not have done it without him. Even though I cried rivers, I would like to read as follows. I am not gone. My soul is at rest. My heart lives on. Light a candle for me to see and hold on to my memory. But save your tears, for I am still here by your side through the years. Bossy, my nickname for Nev. You beat me to the finish line. What an incredible race you ran. Time will never be enough, even though we shared many very happy decades of marriage, for which I'm truly grateful and blessed. There are simply no words. I thank and appreciate him every minute of every day. He is still guiding and looking after us from above through divine intervention. The bravest soldier, you won the battle, but we can't beat time. Tears are prayers too. They travel to God when we cannot speak. Psalm 56, verse 8. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Psalm 34, verse 18. I shall be moving to Belito this month to live close to Tristan, his wonderful wife Mandy, and their precious child Chase, who was the apple of Gong Gong's eye, nickname for Nev, where I shall be loved and looked after. A dream that Nev and I had, to live in a caravan close to our little family at the coast one day. Thank you.
Hello everybody, I'm Mandy, Tristan's wife and Nevy's daughter-in-law. I'm sorry I cannot be there today. I'm with Nevy's grandson Chase, busy watching him on the rugby field. He's captaining his team, and unfortunately it's something that he and I just can't miss, and I know Nevy would never ever want him to do and sacrifice. So in our absence in person, I just wanted to take this opportunity to remotely honor my father-in-law, our precious Nevy. So Jan, Trist, Margie, Tom, everybody, thank you so much for everything that you've done to make today possible and support my husband while I could not be there. Thank you to all that have traveled far and wide to be here today. Today we gather to remember our precious Nevy. I'm going to read so that I don't lose track of what I need to say. So please excuse my eyes darting from one side to the end. Today we gather to celebrate our precious Nev, our beloved Gong Gong, which he was more lovingly named by his grandson, and we ended up calling him that as his family. He was such a quiet man, but his love spoke volumes. He showed it not with words, but in gentle, everyday moments of kindness. His love was soft, it was unconditional, but it was constant. Neville communicated love mostly with his eyes. Now, this was a new thing for me to experience. It was unique, and it was Nev's. I saw it first when it was around about the third or fourth time he met me. He would give me a hug, hello, and when I pulled away, I could see his eyes had welled up with tears. And always when I said goodbye to him, he would say goodbye to me 3 times. It would be, so say we were at a restaurant, he would say goodbye to me in the restaurant. He would say goodbye to me out the restaurant, and then again before I got in the car. So I'd get a hug and a hug and a hug. And by the 3rd time, I'll pull back and his eyes would well up in tears. It was just it was his expression. It's the way he expressed love. And then I saw it more intensely with his grandson. The first time he met his grandson, and every single day, and moments afterwards, the love that he had for his grandson and the deep connection he had with his grandson was something I have never experienced, and I don't think I ever will experience again. He would have tears in his eyes, and from the day Chase was born till now, the whole time he was in Chase's presence, and every now and then they would drop down his cheek, but he just looked at him with he just adored him. He was proud of nothing more. I think Chase was his absolute, Chase was his absolute pride and joy, and so was Tristan. So yeah, we got that. It was a privilege to experience love that way, and in such a unique way with Neville. Though he was gentle, Gong he had a will of steel. If you ever tried to convince him otherwise on a point, well, you probably know that you might not have said it so much, but that he didn't believe you, and you were not able to convince him otherwise. His stubbornness made us laugh at times, but this was really prevalent in his will to live right to the end. And I remember saying to Jan at one stage, I don't understand this stubbornness in Nev that I'm seeing. And she said, Nev has a stubborn side. So I said, I've never experienced that side of him. So his will to live, his strength was quite something to witness, right till the end. And he had no pain at the end, and he was just so loyal and honoring right to the end. And it was difficult for our family because we live in Durban, and Tristan traveled up and down to be there with his dad by his bedside. And he said to Neville, it was right at the end, I have to go back to Durban to watch Chase do his debut rugby game, I think. I can't quite remember, but I need to be there. And so Neville's other grandson, the bulldog, is busy making a big noise in the back here. So if you can hear that, please excuse that. So he said, I need to go watch him, but I'm going to leave straight away and I'll be back. Please wait for me. Don't go before I come back. And he did that. He passed the very next morning when Tristan got back late that evening, and Tristan got back to Neville and said, Dad, I'm back. And even in his state, he gave Tristan like acknowledgement and a smile that he was back. So he was an honoring man, and he always followed through on his commitments if he made a commitment to you. The quiet strength paired with his unwavering love made him who he was. It was the essence of who he was. He didn't need this large and in charge body to make an impact on anybody or any situation. He just needed to be himself, and that was enough. We'll miss Neville. We're gonna miss your laugh. I'm gonna miss your kind eyes. I'm gonna miss your steadiness and the voice of reason. You're a sounding board for my husband. We're gonna miss you. Sorry. We will honor you for the rest of our days. Your grandson will continue your legacy as a Linley, and he will forever honor you in all that he does. I promise to love like you did, live like you did, and don't worry about Jan. We have got her. She's going to live the rest of her days like she's always dreamed. Without you, unfortunately, Neville, but she's going to be caravanning like the gypsy heart that she has, and just living in freedom and peace close to us. Just one other thing I'd like to mention is, Jan, I am in awe of your strength and commitment to your husband when he was ill. You were phenomenal. You made sure he had his dignity throughout, right till the end. You prayed over him. You spoke life over him. You loved him. It was exhausting for you. It was lonely. But I marveled at your strength and your love. It's a love story with a tragic ending. I don't know if any of you know, but every year on their wedding anniversary, Janny would do a dinner and wear her wedding dress or her wedding jacket with Neville and have a dinner and send it to me. And their love was, it was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful experience to share with them, and they set a very good example to me and Tristan in terms of marriage and love and forgiveness. And yeah, I just in this moment, Jan, I want to honor you for the depth of your love right till the end. And yeah, you're amazing, and you couldn't have been a better wife for your husband in those final days. Love you. I know that this has been printed on the pamphlets that you guys have all got, but I would just like to give you a bit of context, and for those watching live online, and for Chase when he watches this, just the significance of what we've put on these pamphlets. So the significance of the moth, this is a personal thing for me that's always happened, and it also happened after Neville's passing. I'm Christian, so I know that when a soul reaches heaven, it doesn't come back. But I do believe in signs and wonders, and little messages from heaven, from Jesus and angels. And God has always shown me with the moth. It's been a comforting thing that's happened when I lost my best friend when I was younger. I was 14, and my dogs that died, that were very special to me when they're 18, and now Neville. And when I was creating these pamphlets, I took a lot of time doing it because it's very important to me, and especially that I couldn't be here, be there in person. I wanted these to be incredibly detailed and honoring him. And the moth, when I was creating the pamphlets, I said I was so worried that it wasn't going to be enough. And on that day, there were moths that started to fly into our house, different ones, not the same one. And when the first one came in, I didn't really think much about it. But when the second one came in, it kind of settled behind me, above my head, while I was doing Neville's pamphlets. And I'm going to put a little video after this just to show you. Tristan took a video and I took a video as well. And then when I finished the pamphlets, again, when I stood up before I went to bed, another one frantically flew in, and it flew around my head and around the room, and it landed on my face, and then it landed on my head, and then it flew around. It was almost like a celebration. It just felt like I felt such a sense of joy. It was the most beautiful thing. And I just said, I don't know what's going on with these moths. And it was just such a confirmation for me of the joy Neville was experiencing in heaven. And so that is the significance of the moth. And then on the pamphlet, I've just said the moth's message. In some spiritual and cultural contexts, the appearance of a moth, particularly after a death of a loved one, can be interpreted as a sign that a departed soul is nearby, offering comfort and guidance. And just how the fluttering can be interpreted as a sign of the loved one's spirit returning to visit. Although I know that's not what's happening with Neville, because he's with Jesus. But it's just, I think, God sends little signs and wonders as a reminder of an expression of what Neville's doing in heaven. And then obviously the presence of a moth can offer comfort, which it really did offer me. So if you ever see a moth, or if a moth comes through in a moment, I really do feel that's God's way of sending a message from Neville. Just one last thing, I've taken up enough of everyone's time, I think, is just a message from heaven, a little insert that something that I came across, and I just can imagine Neville saying this to all of us. From heaven's window, I'm no longer there to share your tears, but I'm still with you through all the years. In every sunrise and in every star, know that I'm close no matter how far. I walk beside you though you can't see. I am the whisper in the gentle breeze. In the laughter you share in the quiet night, you'll find me there in the softest light. Though my hands can't hold you, my heart still does. I am still watching over you, just as I always was. So live with joy and let love lead. For I am every step, every thought, and every deed. When you miss me, just close your eyes and feel my love beneath the skies. I am forever just a breath away, guiding you, loving you every day. And I just know that Neville is living in the glory of God and in heaven. And yeah, we'll miss him. I miss him. And thank you so much, everybody, for letting me take up so much time. Here is the videos we took of the moth visits. After those videos, babe, over to you.
Right there on top of the moon, we could sit and do nothing. I wish we were bold to just fly away. I don't wanna care, just be here and I'm good alone. I'll be okay. I don't wanna care. Just be here and I'm good alone. I'll be okay, miss you like an old friend.
If I can ask Margie. Neville's amazing sister. Put it down a little bit for you. Yeah, you can. I think you can. Oh, it's attached. Should I bring it
It's okay,
down a
don't
bit?
worry. I'll stand on my toes.
I can move
Anybody
this
got a
out.
box?
Move this out the way.
That's fine. Put it here. Sorry, I got to stand next to it. I'm too short. It's a Linley thing. Can you all hear me? I've put something quite short and sweet together. I'm not going to ramble on, but I just want Nev and to know that I feel way, way, way too young to have lost two of my brothers now. I don't feel like I'm old enough to be in this, in the situation where I don't have mom and dad, I don't have my big brothers. I was very blessed to be born into a family after 3 boys. So I had 3 big brothers looking after me for my entire growing up life, and it was awesome. They all teased me and terrorized me and used to push me down the hill in Waterkloof Ridge on a pram, into the road at the bottom, and walk around holding me by my ankles. I was this little novelty in the family, and it feels really weird to just have you, Tom. It's you and me, Paddy. Yeah. Nev, for us, for me, was always very quiet. And as you've heard before, in his quietness, there was such strength. He didn't have to say much for us to get him. Nev, in his support for me and my family, was in the equestrian world. Neville did a lot of pony camps as a youngster in Irene, and he landed up doing his national service on horseback. And both my children landed up in the equestrian world in different categories, and he was always very, very, very supportive and loving, and he absolutely adored the horses when he came to the stables. He loved animals so much, and I'll never forget Nev. Sorry, I'm going off subject slightly. I'll never forget visiting Nev and Janet, and they had 2 chickens that lived in their house. And at the end, when I came to see Nev the day that he passed away, next to his bed was this beautiful photograph of Neville with his chicken on his lap. And I work for South African Wildlife Rehabilitation, and it's just so special for me to have that photo of Neville with his chicken. There's so many ways that he is a part of, or the things that he loved are a part of my life. He obviously loved his old bikes and restoring them. He supported my kids through their equestrian life, and I had a dream to somehow compete with my children in the equestrian world, and I found a rusted piece of scrap with 4 wheels on it, and it was a carriage for a horse-driven carriage. And I brought this rusty piece of junk home, and between Nev and Tom and some help from other friends, we fixed this carriage up, and I was able to fulfill a dream and compete in the carriage driving in the equestrian world at my ripe old age. And just before Nev died, I rode in the South African Horse of the Year Championships, and Neville will always be on my carriage with me whenever I drive. I drove for him. Tom and Michael went down on the DJ when we decided we were going to do these things, even though Nev wasn't well. We knew that while we were not able to be here, that he was in Janet's good hands. Thank you, Janet. You looked after him with all your soul. I can't begin to tell you how dedicated this lady was to her husband and my brother. Thank you, Janet. Nevi, the tears that Nev always had just welled in his eyes, as Mandy said, were just beautiful. They were always there. Nev was quiet, he was humble, he was supportive, and yet so strong. And we love you a lot, Nev. We always will. And this is a little song that I heard recently, and it just expresses how much I love you. Thank you.
There are places I remember all my life, though some have changed, some forever, not for better. Some have gone and some remain. All these places have their moments. We're lovers and friends, I still can recall. Some are dead and some are living. But in my life, I've loved them all. But of all these friends and lovers, there is no one compares with you. And these memories lose their meaning when I think of love as something new. Though I know I'll never lose affection for people and things that went before. I know I will often stop and think about them, but in my life I love you more. Affection for people and things that went before. I know I will often stop and think about them, but in my life I love you more. In my life I love you more.
Okay, now we're going to invite some family and friends to say a few things. I think we'll start with Henny, if that's okay, and then I'll just come up after each person who's said what they want to say and then ask if there's anybody else. It's very informal, so there's no book. So if you want to say something, please feel free. Come
on. Dear Jan, Tristan, Tom and Margie, family and friends, for those of you that don't know me, I'm Henny Wessels, I'm Jan's brother-in-law. I've known Neville Linley for approximately 50 years. And in those 50 years, we got together over weekends here in Pretoria, on the farm at Maritsani, a couple of times in the Bushveld. And what wonderful weekends we had. If we couldn't spend a weekend, we would often join for a breakfast or a lunch or a couple of beers at one of Nev's favorite haunts. Sometimes we probably had a couple too many. And right now I can just hear Neville saying, "Lekker man, lekker." Or exactly. Neville and I went to cricket together at Centurion. We went and watched Cliff Richard live at Loftus. We shared the same interest at one stage in our lives. We were both round tablers, and we were both members of the POMC. And we marshalled together at Cars in the Park at Swartkops a couple of times because we loved classic cars and classic bikes. Unfortunately, Janet and Diane, I don't think they shared our enthusiasm for these old cars and bikes because we usually used to get back very late from Cars in the Park. They ended up calling us the Marshals. And when speaking about us, it would be, my Marshal said this, or the Marshal did that. Thanks, Jan, for letting Nev join me marshalling. I spent quite a lot of time with Nev in his workshop, and always amazed me was his engineering skills, repairing and making and designing medical instruments. It was just amazing. One day I gave him a Bedizzo, and for those who you don't know what it is, it's a castrating tool for bull calves. And this thing wasn't functioning properly, and I was thinking of buying a new one. At that stage they cost about 3,000 Rand. And I gave it to Neville. I said, I think there's some bushes worn. Well, 2 days later, Neville phoned me and he said, look, this thing's fixed. There was nothing worn. The tension had gone out of it. Next time when you put it away, keep the jaws open. Don't keep it closed because it loses tension. That's the type of man he was. And of course, it didn't cost me a cent. I remember when Nicholas, my son, was at university, he and a couple of first-year students tried to fix their official car or their Amps motor, which is an old Rover. They managed to get it going, but they battled with the brakes. Who did they take it to? Neville. And with the same amount of enthusiasm, he fixed the car. Now, in later years, we didn't get to Pretoria that often. And last year, we managed to get together for breakfast at Monte Casino. And we said, you know, we don't see enough of each other. And we extended an invite to Neville and Jan to spend Christmas with us. They hadn't been there for 15 or 18 years, and we didn't think they'd make it. And to our amazement, middle of December, Jan phoned to say that they would be spending Christmas with us. And what a happy and joyful Christmas that was. The day after Christmas, when they were about to leave, we made a promise that we should see much more of each other in 2025. But little did we realize that that goodbye would be our final farewell. Because less than 3 months later, Neville answered the sunset call. And in the week, while I was thinking about Neville, I recalled a poem by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, the American poet, a poem that he wrote called A Psalm of Life, what the heart of a young man said to the psalmist. It's 9 verses. If you have time, read it. It's about life and death. But the one verse that I found very apt was the 7th verse, where he says, the lives of great men all remind us that we can make our lives sublime, and when departing, leave behind us footprints on the sands of time. And if I look at all of us here, I know in one way or another, Neville has left his footprints on our hearts and on our minds. How did I perceive Neville? Neville was a quiet, unassuming man. He was a lover, not a fighter. In fact, to me, he was the epitome of a gentleman. He was a gentleman. Shortly after Neville's passing, I sent Jan a little poem that was written by an old guy in our community when his son and family immigrated to Australia. And it was entitled When You're in Australia. And last year, at his obituary, I used this, but I changed the words to When I'm in Heaven. And Jan asked that I read it here today. It says, when I'm in heaven far away, we cannot embrace, we cannot touch, but we'll always love one another so very much. Because distance cannot take our love away. When I'm in heaven far away, God is everywhere. Therefore, there to keep you in His almighty and loving care, every single moment of every single day. Fly high, Neville.
Do you want to come up?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This eulogy is being read on behalf of my dad, Nick. Neville was a friend whom my dad admired dearly. To my friend Neville Linley, kind, generous, forgiving, and humble. I first met Neville in high school when we were in standard 7 or 8. Nev at Woodmead College, Johannesburg, and I at St. Albans College, Pretoria. We were boarders with nowhere to go on weekends. We had to find ourselves extramural activities. There were 3 sisters living a few blocks away from our school, where I spent many Saturday nights at their house with a bunch of mates, of course drinking, smoking, and listening to Black Sabbath, Pink Floyd, Slade, among others. One Saturday night, at one of these sessions, a cool-looking dude walked through the door. He had long blonde hair and a spectacular moustache. In one hand was a cigarette and a beer in the other. Well, that was the beginning of our 50-year long-term friendship. We would see each other often after that. On passing matric, we both decided to do a trade. Nev in fitting and turning at iScore, and myself at Barlow Noorderlik working on caterpillars. Part of our apprenticeship was that we had to go to college for 6 months and spend the second half of the year at our practical training facility. One of our subjects was technical drawing. Nev, of course, with his 3D or 4D vision, excelled at the subject. By then we made a new friend called Henry Jackson. We both were struggling with the subject, so for us to obtain a pass mark, Henry and I sat on both sides of Neville, where he allowed us to copy his work. Nev passed with a distinction, while Jackson and I just scraped through. We all went on with our lives, usually meeting on Wednesday and Saturday nights at the Spens, where the likes of Brian Finch, Kenny Henson, Wildebeest, among others, were playing in the background. Another weekly get-together was at Terry Delaney's flat on Tuesdays to watch Dallas. In those days, Terry was our only friend who owned a colored TV. We all worked at different places. After a year or so, the three of us decided to resign at the same time and go to Durban to join the Saf Marine Shipping Company. We arranged an interview with the HR where all three of us were interviewed together. After the interview, the HR manager dismissed us, saying he would contact us later if successful. Upon reaching the door to exit, he called us back, saying we did not seem very enthusiastic, and so as to not waste each other's time, he did not think that we would be good candidates for the engine room. We spent the next few weeks at my dad's flat in Belito. At the time, money was starting to run low, and we realized that no work certainly meant no money. So we returned to Pretoria. Within a few weeks, we secured ourselves work at different places. I must say, Neville had a few angels by his side, as there was one Easter weekend when Nev and I went to Zanin to spend time with my folks. We drove down in Nev's newly acquired Mercedes, which I had bought from the Joyers. That following night, we drove up to Haynesburg to spend time with the Cases boys on their farm. Lots of drinking and chatter ensued around a blazing bonfire until the late hours of the evening. We decided to go home when it started to rain. Now the road down to Machuba's Kloof was extremely windy with many horseshoe bends and 90-degree turns. Heavy winds, slippery roads, and a severe thunderstorm brewing in the background made the drive back that much more treacherous. Never mind the few beers which also played their part on the journey home. Nev and I agreed that he would be the driver and I would be his navigator to warn him of any approaching dangerous bends. I grew up in the area and was familiar with that road. It was all going well until the last straight road going towards Zanin. By then I was fast asleep and had with reason neglected my navigator duties. I was soon shaken awake by a Mercedes which was no longer heading home. Nev had also fallen asleep and had unknowingly steered us into a deep culvert. We were stuck. Moments later, a bus full of Zion Christian Church members pulled over to help us out. Nev, for some reason, had this long, thick rope in the boot of his car, which was used to tie onto the bus's front axle and the rear of the Mercedes. And so, with the help of plus 40 ZCC men pushing and pulling, we managed to get the car back onto the road and were heading back home again. Fortunately, the car suffered minimal damage. We missed breakfast the following day, obviously. When we finally emerged from our caves, my dad met us in the kitchen where we were making coffee and explained, "Looks like you boys had a busy night," then left. Nev and I looked at each other in a confused state, wondering how the old man knew something about the incident. Later, once we regained our senses, we inspected the car and found at least 30 traces of muddy handprints all over the bonnet, windscreen, and boot. My dad never mentioned how he knew that we had a rough night, but I do suspect that as an archaeologist, he was accustomed to notice minute details. We did indeed have a busy night. Neville and I had many adventures together, which included a 6-week trip to the USA covering 12 states. But that is a story I'd like to save for another day. Nev, my dear friend, I will miss you dearly. Rest in peace, my brother. Thanks, Joseph.
Hello everyone. I've just got three pieces to read that have been sent through from family and friends. To the Linley family, I am sending my condolences for the loss of Neville Linley on his Memorial Day. He was a good gentleman with a good heart and will be missed by all. I remember he saying that's the right thing to do, which most of us must remember and try to adhere to. May he rest in peace, from Jonathan Buchan and our family. Another piece from Fonny Duploy. He couldn't be here today as he's in Ireland with his family. Nev, losing a loved one is, as some of us have experienced, the single hardest pain whilst we are still in this life. There is no comparison to anything like it in this life. It is just absolutely shitty. Janet, Tristan, children, Tom, Margie, and family, my condolences are with you all. You know he is now without pain. Nev, we didn't get to see each other over the past years, but that didn't matter, as when we did, it was like old times, back in the day, always attempting to catch up on stories in the short time. Nev, for me, he will always be fondly remembered by his quick sense of dry humour, as sharp as a motorbike spoke in his trade. We could be in a group of guys, especially at the racetrack, chatting about whatever, and at times could become quiet and serious around the racing, as Nev was. He would quietly pop in a quirky chirp from behind, and the vigorous debate would be dead quiet, followed by crazy laughing from all. Subject changed. Be it at these events or the early days in the rally, his humour would always pop out of nowhere. I think that is why we never got good results, because we would talk crap in the car instead of focusing. Always a gentleman, made friends wherever he went, never confrontations, and made one feel you're part of his experiences. It would be it in his work, love of bikes, or just sharing recent day-to-day stuff. Some of my fondest memories will always be our time together doing the C-led ODO rallies in the 70s and classic rallies in the late 90s. The laughs, parties, and fellowship will be shared, that we shared, will be serious magic times. Nev, I always admired your engineering skills in your trade and often bragged a little at doctors on how you redesigned their tools for them, whilst at the same time you were also very talented and damn quick on the track with a bike. Even so with handling my Alpha around Swartkops. I'm sure many stories and fond memories will be shared now and in the future of friendships you shared with the many whom you met. Janet and family, may your pain be lessened by the faith and trust in his promise. Nev is at peace and his spirit will always dwell among us. His life's portrait is now complete. Rest in peace, my friend, Fonny and family. Another one from Marlon from Scotland. My first memories of Nev was when he came to the UK with Mum and Dad, John and Maureen. They visit Mum and Dad in Paisley, I think. This quiet blonde bombshell sitting on the settee, not saying very much. When I first visited South Africa in 1996, the first thing John and Maureen had was a family day, and there were all the boys standing around the braai with a beer and cooking some lovely food. Nev was joining in on all the banter with the boys, but much quieter. Over the years, I learned he had a gentle, kind nature and would always have time for you. One of the best memories of Nev was at Sun City. Janet and Nev had booked a 3-night stay, but it just so happened that The World's Strongest Man was being filmed there. It made for a fascinating watching. One day we got on a shuttle bus, and Janet and I got a seat, but poor Nev was left standing next to these giants of men. Nev just took it in his stride and talked away to them, his neck straining to see them. We killed ourselves laughing, talked about the long and the short of it. Wish I was there with you all, but all I can do is send lots of love and knowing I'm thinking about you. Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Yeah.
Good afternoon, everybody. For those of you who don't know me, I am Graham Kendall, the chairman of the Classic Motorcycle Club. And I would just like to say a few words in tribute to Neville, please. On behalf of the Classic Motorcycle Club, I would like to extend our sincere condolences to the Linley family, to Tom, Margie, Janet, and Tristan. Our thoughts and prayers are with you at this very sad time. I met Neville and Tom through the Velocet Owners Club quite a few years ago. They also became members of the Classic Club again and have been regular attendees at our monthly meetings. They were involved with the CMC a long time ago when their dad was still alive. Neville was always the quiet, more reserved one. He always greeted everyone very warmly and always asked the right questions about how you were doing. My wife Julia says that Neville ticked all the boxes for being a proper gentleman. She has a few others who did the same thing. Some of you will probably recognize the names: Alan Harris, Kevin Robertson, and then Neville. Is it purely coincidental that they were all Velocet enthusiasts? I think not. Julia was having major problems with her shoulder and was about to undergo a shoulder replacement. She was talking to Neville about this, and he was very reassuring about the success of the operation. Neville was always the first one to ask her how she was doing after the operation, and continued to do so every time he saw her. Such a gentleman. It was during one of these conversations that Neville told us of some of the work that he had done for some very well-known specialist surgeons, making sophisticated tools for them so that they could perform their operations more successfully. One such tool, I believe, was taken to Europe by a specialist and became commonly used. Quiet Neville had skills that not many people realized. I've heard of his skills with horses today. I didn't know that, so that was new for me. I have fond memories of an evening spent with Tom and Neville at the Fariesburg Country Inn. We were on the annual Velocet Owners Club get-together. Most of the others had gone to bed. We sat and discussed the problems of the world over a few beers until well into the night. I think I learned more about velos that evening than I ever knew before. The Linley brothers were very happy to share their skills and knowledge. Neville was a wealth of knowledge on all things motorcycling, not only Velocets. It is very sad that this type of knowledge is lost and not passed on. We should all write books which contain the years of information that we have gained, so it is not lost. Neville's engineering skills will also be missed. A true gentleman, we salute you for being the person that you were and the memories that you left with everyone who knew you. Neville, rest in peace. You will be missed by all who knew and loved you. Thank you.
Is there anybody else? It's got lots of love.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mark Adcock. I met Neville at school when we were 15. I'm the same age as him. And we rode around this town on 50cc motorbikes and eventually advanced to, or grew up at 15 odd years old to, both of us bought 500cc Triumphs motorbikes that we were going to ride around. I managed to finish mine to get it working before he did, so we went for a burn. In those days, believe it or not, a helmet wasn't a legal requirement. So we were riding around, the two of us, with no helmet, T-shirts, short pants, and fellies. And Neville, screaming down the road, says to me, "This bike's got no brakes." And I said, well, I didn't say, in fact, I should have said, "It's a British bike and the brake's on the other side." But the T-junction was coming up. Anyway, no helmet, etc. We went through a concrete wall at the end and shredded this poor lady's garden and the wall and the motorbike, etc. And Neville obviously used his head, I think, to make part of the hole in the wall, because he picked up the fuel tank and ran away. But he didn't go through this big hole we'd made through the garden wall. He went through the pedestrian gate, he opened it and disappeared down the road, hobbling down the road because he'd hurt his leg as well. I had to run after him and say, "Bring me the bloody tank back so we can get this bike out of here." Anyway, the lady wasn't happy and we lived on to tell the tale. He one day called me aside and said, "I've just been elected to be the chairperson of a club," which, if you know Neville, that's a bit of a surprise. And he said, "Yes." He said, "It's the Kaniwari Club. Do you want to be a member?" And I said, "Well," he said, "I can't worry if you don't." Neville was standing next to me when I got married as my best man. A gentleman through and through. Never heard him swear, well, no, swearing's true, but I never heard him get angry or shout. And I wish him, as my friend, bon voyage. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. Nev's brother Tom has chosen a song. Just put that on for a minute or two, and then we'll start with the next section.
Day. Upon a ridge he rested as he went along his way. When all at once a mighty herd of red-eyed cows he saw plowing through the ragged sky and up a cloudy draw.
Their brands were still on fire and their hooves were made of steel. Their horns were black and shiny and their hot breath he could feel. A bolt of fear went through him as they thundered through the skies. He saw the riders coming.
Please don't run away. It's not the end yet.
Their mournful cry. Yippee-yi-yi. Riders in the sky. Gaunt, their eyes were blurred, their shirts all soaked with sweat. He's riding hard to catch that herd, but he ain't caught 'em yet. 'Cause they've got to ride forever on that range up in the sky on a horse's sword and fire.
Okay, so I just want to say thank you to a couple of people. my wife Mandy for compiling the video and the stories, Margie's sister for the flowers and all the other extras, Tom for helping with the venue, Johan and Gisela for all the assistance with refreshments, and thank you to everybody who traveled far today, to all the family and friends, and a thank you to my mom for everything she's done. I'm going to say a prayer. If you can just bow your heads. Heavenly Father, though our hearts ache with the loss of our dear Nev Gongon, we trust in your eternal love and grace. We thank you for your precious gift of their life, for the memories we carry with us, and for the lessons they taught us along the way. We ask that you surround them with your light and peace as they rest in your loving arms. May they feel your presence, and may they know how deeply they are loved, both by you and all of us left behind. Grant us comfort in the knowledge that our loved one is at peace, free from pain, and with you in heaven.
Help us to honor their memory by living with the same kindness, strength, and love they showed us. We trust that, though separated by space, our love for them is never lost. May we continue to feel their presence in our hearts, guiding us, watching over us, and reminding us that love never ends. In your holy name, we pray. Amen.
I just want you to say that.
Tristan just wanted me to say he thanks Nev for being the best father in the whole world.
Beyond the stars, those dazzling heights, too fast to climb.
There's going to be a slideshow now.
I got so high to fall so far, but I found heaven as love swept low. My heart beating, my soul breathing. I found my life when I laid it down. Upward falling, spirit soaring. I touched the sky when my knees hit the ground. What treasure waits within your sky? The gift of freedom, gold can't buy. I bought the world and sold my heart. We traded heaven to have me again. My heart beating, my soul breathing. I found my life when I laid it down. Upward falling, spirit soaring. I touched the sky when my knees hit the ground. It's been a long without you, my friend. And I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began. Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. When I see you again.
Damn, who knew? All the planes we flew, good things we've been through. That I'll be standing right here talking to you about another path. I know we love to hit the road and laugh, but something told me that it wouldn't last. Had to switch up, look at things different, see the bigger picture. Those were the days, hard work forever pays. Now I see you in a better place. See you in a better place. How can we not talk about family when family's all that we got? Everything I went through, you were standing there by my side. And now you gon' be with me for the last ride.
It's been a long day without you, my friend. And I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we...
I'm gonna find them out. A 7-nation army couldn't hold me back. They're gonna rip it off, taking that time right behind my back. And I'm talking to myself at night because I can't forget. I can fall through my mind behind a cigarette. And the message coming from my eyes. Come on. And the message coming from my eyes. And the message coming from my eyes. I gotta find 'em out. A 7-nation army couldn't hold me back. And I'm talking to myself at night because I can't forget. I can fall through my mind behind a cigarette. And the message coming from my eyes. And the message coming from my eyes. And the message coming from my eyes.
Salvo to the wall to back.
Yeah. Sometimes I don't understand why things go a certain way. Why I gotta go through these feelings. Why I can't seem to shake the pain. I read through the Bible looking for a meaning. Yeah, looking for a reason. But God said I gotta let go of that cause he's preparing me for a new season. So I gotta put trust in the ways of the Lord. I only need his approval. I don't need no accolades. You can say.
Okay, thank you all for coming. That's the end. Oh, coffee, tea, the bar's open. There'll be snacks and food at the back. Thank you all.
Long as the sky and oceans are blue, I'll always love you and I'll never stop. I'll always be there, even when I'm not. I know the world could turn into a lonely place. Can break your heart and paint the teardrops on your face. I might not be beside you, but I won't be far. I'll be looking over you like northern stars. When once your mind is spiraling like desert winds, the way you wanna go is not the way you've been. Darling, don't be scared of what's around the bend. And when you feel alone, I hope you never